What's poppin', y'all? Meek Mill's taking a break from his LinkedIn era where Twitter fingers turn to LinkedIn fingers, where he's trying to get his own startup or AI or something going on to come back at Charlamagne. I was going to say attack, but Charlamagne started this first when he was doing his Brilliant Idiots podcast.
Meek never... I don't know.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying. Like, Meek could have just kept doing music, but for some reason he didn't. Like, something was just off after the battle. You know what I mean? And he really, I mean, honestly, he didn't really
He never recovered.
Yeah, it's strange. You know what it was with Meek, man? Meek's Achilles heel to me was actually Twitter.
Yeah, for sure.
And when Drake called him Twitter fingers, no, what did he say? What was it? It was Twitter fingers,
yeah,
right?
Twitter fingers.
When he called them Twitter fingers.
Trigger finger turn to Twitter fingers.
Trigger finger turn to Twitter fingers. And it's just like every time Meek tweets, even now,
crazy,
to
bro.
this day.
It's crazy. It's pure entertainment.
And I f with Meek, you know what I'm saying?
Nah,
I think Meek does a lot for his community. You know, he's been a great, symbol for the city of Philly. I love what he does with reform. But I probably would have deleted my Twitter after Twitter fingers. And just flooded the streets with nothing but music.
You're forgetting.
This felt like one of the most tone-deaf, detached takes that I've ever seen from Charlamagne, because he is correct in that Meek Mill tweets way too much. Meek Mill on Twitter, Meek Mill has given us, not a side of him, has given us him, and we've realized this guy's a dunce. Honest to God. He is the dullest tool in the shed. Like, we can't even say, he's not the brightest, he's not the brightest bulb, whatever you want to call it. This guy's the dullest tool in the shed. He is not bright, but he is an excellent rapper, and he's actively released music. But before I get into the details on what Meek Mill has done post-beef, Meek Mill would go off on Charlamagne in a long post on Instagram dedicated straight to him. And this wasn't even an IG story. He put this on a main post and said the following. So I want to make this a main post to highlight the real propaganda that's taking place in the hip-hop community. I need everyone to leave a comment if you see what's happening and how they are trying to downgrade artist brands from feeding their family. Let's go through it. Oh my God. Am I going to have a hard time defending Meek Mill? Because I'm going to be honest. I haven't even read Meek Mill's response. I wanted to save it so I have an authentic first-time reaction to it. I did watch the clip of Charlamagne first, but this guy's going to make it really hard to defend him. But listen, hey, I've got sword and shield, and mine are buffed, shined, sharpened, and ready to defend Meek Mill today. But geez. The white hit also boosted didn't rumor on his major platform with no evidence. Do not go on these platform, only us. Can y'all see my brand back heating up now this? Please leave an honest comment. What the hell did he just say? What was that? First off, downgrading artist brand. If you're not lit, there is no downgrading of your brand. I'll give you a good example of your brand getting downgraded. J. Cole, like whoever urged J. Cole to go on this media tour, that was, you could say that person set him up. Even though I don't think they were doing that. His team was probably like, hey, it's a good thing for you to get out there, explain what's happening, get in touch with the people. But in this situation, what are you talking about? You're not even one of the biggest brands. Why would anybody attack you or try to take you down? Unless it's local. Anyway, since Drake beef, I dropped Tap 3 times platinum, PETA double platinum, Blue Notes 1 and 2 platinum, Uptown Vibes with Legend from Brooklyn Fab platinum. Is it platinum? What's Free featuring Jay-Z, Meek Mill, I think it's plat. F on Me featuring Cardi B platinum, Scarface with Rick Ross gold, Independent Money, Respect the Game platinum, 24/7 double platinum. Yeah, I feel like a lot of us are like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Blue Notes 1 and 2. I don't even remember that. But I do remember a lot of other songs that we'll go over. Dangerous platinum or double. I don't collect plaques. LOL Championships album like double plat. Yes, we got to put respect on the Championships album. And that one was in 2018. Expensive Pain gold, and it wasn't marketed correctly. Leaving labels. Cybertruck 5 a.m. in Philly. How far we came. He actually switched up on Drake because he helped power the Meek was done narrative. Was done. Now he's using the same against Drake. Drake good with me and Jay-Z. Yeah, so what he's referring to, if you guys don't have context or history on Meek Mill and Drake and Charlamagne is that Charlamagne was one of Drake's biggest haters. Like he just did not like Drake's music. He thought Drake was soft. Just didn't like Drake overall. And Drake during the beef was like, yo, I might buy bottles for Charlamagne. And that was in the back-to-back track because he's like, yo, you're going to make me buy bottles for Charlamagne because I don't even mess with Charlamagne. And then I think he actually sent him bottles up to the Breakfast Club. Charlamagne was a known hater of Drake, as opposed to Joe Budden, who, while he's kind of known as a Drake, I don't think he's known as a Drake hater, but I think people have seen him make a lot of critical comments about Drake, and he has beefed with Drake. He's always appreciated Drake's music and enjoyed it. He said, keep me out this week-ish. I had a meeting with A16Z, which is a... This is how you know Meek is so dumb, because A16Z is the venture capital company run by Mark Andreessen, and Meek Mill became one of the biggest memes in tech Twitter. So you know how, like, we all make fun of him for him being on Twitter, and it's like this guy's tweets are hilarious within hip hop. Well, he ventured over there and he became a joke for them. So he's getting clowned, and yeah, he's like and he doesn't know it. So the level of awareness here is hilarious. Found a lot of new tech deals and activations just from playing around tweeting. I forgot Proud of Me featuring Almost Platinum. 1942 Flows, What You Need Platinum featuring Chris Brown. Check Platinum Championships intro. We ball. What the hell is he talking about? We got to keep a close eye on this cat. I feel like he in the closet gay man that hates successful black men unless he doing business with them. But I could be wrong. Yeah, he's definitely wrong. What gay dude has ever hated on Meek Mill? That's my question too. So what would Charlamagne be gay, which is like an accusation that he's gotten for forever, have anything to do with Meek, or him not liking Meek, or him knocking Meek? It doesn't even seem like he doesn't like Meek Mill. It just seems like he's out of touch. Oh, and I'm powering help pop like 10 artists off in the East. No cash gain for charity. You are not doing that, Meek Mill. Please pop yourself back up lit. I'm really the one, but it's some real propaganda on my brand. Nobody is propaganda against Meek Mill. Nobody's trying to take Meek Mill down. Nobody's attacking Meek Mill. To be frank, everybody wants Meek Mill to win right now, including me, and they have wanted Meek Mill to win since 2018. And I want it investigated. That Diddy-ish wasn't normal. I'm a real trench baby. Earn plate in front of the world. I don't know what the hell Diddy's got to do with this, but let's just look at what Meek Mill was talking about in 2019 and why Charlamagne was kind of correct in telling them, yo, he should have just put the Twitter down after getting out. And Meek Mill would say in an interview in 2019, if you ask me why I came at Drake, I don't even effing really know. This guy he just lost it. He was off the drugs, had no idea what he's doing, impulsive, and just started writing on Twitter for no reason. And Charlamagne would also tell him to apologize to Quentin Miller and to tap back in with him in 2020 because they bullied him and jumped him for not standing behind Meek Mill and helping him expose Drake.
I can't lie, I watched that video yesterday and I must admit it was a real tearjerker.
Yeah, I felt bad for him, man. He was in that situation. He got the bad.
He was minding his
they're
business.
Cool now.
Meek.
He got beat up, allegedly.
This is all on Meek.
So bad, man.
To make that right. You talking about reform? You got to reform that relationship with Quentin Miller. I'm serious. And they don't got to be best friends.
He wasn't even doing nothing to them. He was minding his business, doing his job,
I'm not
doing
gonna
a
lie.
great job at his job.
Meek, you got to make that right. That young man got thrown under the bus for no damn reason.
None.
Y'all, he got beat up. He got lost a leg.
He lost a leg.
Like, that man went through
Well,
a
he didn't
lot.
lose a leg because of that, but
I
he
know.
did.
I was like, wait.
He did lose a leg.
Nope, I'm putting it all in the same story. The story
I can't
I'm telling.
believe that. Don't. He lost a leg because of this.
You know Drake bought him a leg?
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Really?
Drake bought that leg for him.
Wow.
I mean, from what I was told. I don't know if that's
This guy.
Somebody did tell me
Cite
that.
your
I'm just
sources,
we don't know if that's true
I'm not
or
citing my sources, but somebody, a very reliable source, told me that Drake actually bought him his leg. So all I'm saying is Meek.
So overall, first we have to, what Meek Mill said was just ridiculous. Yes, for sure. But we got to look back at what Charlamagne said. He's like, yo, he should have just put down Twitter and flooded the streets with music. Well, he dropped Championships. And that was a huge album. It was a great album. 2018, he dropped a ton of music. Most of Championships charted on the Hot 100. Granted, you know, like most of the albums charted in general. He had a track with Lil Baby. He was on Lil Baby's Street Gossip. He was on DJ Khaled's album with Lil Baby in 2019 as well. He was doing songs with everybody. He was on a Post Malone song. He was on Hollywood's Bleeding. So he was on a Post Malone album. He was on a DJ Khaled album. He dropped his album in 2018. And this is 2018 going into 2019. He was also on the PETA song that he's talking about. He was on Roddy Ricch's album, Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial. And I know he's just naming the songs and the plaques, but I don't think the songs and the plaques tell the whole story, which is these are scorching hot artists at their peak that are putting Meek Mill on their albums. And then he was also on Voice of the Heroes, which was a huge album, basically not the peak, but a really hot moment for Lil Baby and Lil Durk, and this was in 2021. Now, projects-wise, he hasn't released much from Championships. Like, he dropped Championships. He also dropped, and Tap, he's talking about Tap. That was in 2019. That was Nav's song, but that was on Bad Habits. And we also got to keep in mind, just recently, a couple of years ago, he had Sharing Locations, which was in 2021. And that was a Meek Mill song with Lil Baby and Lil Durk. That was off of his Expensive Pain album. And that project, I believe, did he do Madison Square Garden with that project? Or was it, I think he did an Expensive Pain. He performed at Madison Square Garden, sold it out. I think he performed in Philly too with an arena and sold it out. And he's just consistently dropped music. So I don't know what Charlamagne is talking about. Now, if Charlamagne wanted to say that, Drake, that nothing's been the same after Drake, which no pun intended there, he could say that Drake ended his career and then Drake revived his career. Absolutely. Because Going Bad, that is by far and large, number one of the best rap songs of the past decade, of that decade. Like, that song is just a banger. Man, that song hits. I don't know if it hits as much, but when it first dropped, it still hits, but when it first dropped, that thing was amazing. And that song does a lot of streams. But had Drake not given him that song, I don't know if his comeback would have been as big. But we also got to take into consideration the environment in which Meek Mill was coming out. It was advantageous strategically for Drake to not only let up off of him, but to also aid him. Because imagine how bad it would have been in the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef of the whole, like, yo, you're not the culture hates you, if Meek Mill was getting out for the whole prison reform thing, because he had been treated unjustly by the judge. It was a ridiculous judge, and it was for the case that he had been on probation for since he was like, 19 years old. But people saw the behavior of the judge. The judge even got fired, lost her job, I believe, and he became a symbol for injustice, and he had faced injustice. So had Drake been on his head top after that, oh man, that would not have been good for Drake's image. So Drake, I think he just saw time pass, and he was quite forgiving, and even did a song with the guy and lifted his career back up, brought him Call of the Haunted. He brought the guy back from the dead, and after that, Meek Mill flourished. Now, the thing is, the same time that Charlamagne is probably talking about, which is like 4 or 5 years, but he's talking about after the Drake beef. Yeah, well, during the Drake beef, the guy gets locked up. And then after, he drops all of this music. So that's what I don't get, how far away and what time span he's talking about. Because if you're talking the past couple of years, the most recent is he had a song with that dude Friday. And that song performed really well. Like, Proud of Me. People really highlight that song, and that was just last year. And yeah, it's not the biggest song in the world, and that's a Meek Mill song, but Meek Mill is independent dropping that song. So Meek Mill gets off of a major record label. Clearly, like we said, he's the dullest tool in the shed. He doesn't know how to navigate this entire industry by himself when he's had help his entire career and he's had collaborations his whole career. So of course, there's going to be growing pains, and a song like Proud of Me isn't going to do what it would have done had he still been on an Atlantic Records. And yeah, Expensive Pain, that was the last album in 2021. It did okay first week, but I think it was his last album, which is why it wasn't promoted as heavily. I don't think it was a bad album either. So Meek Mill's in the scenario right now where he's not even being criticized for what he deserves to be criticized for, which is really just the Twitter stuff. But the music, this guy's been focused on music. Maybe not in the past. 2026, not so much. He hasn't dropped that much, and he should actively be dropping. But like I said, he dropped, and I'm mislabeled or misnamed the project in another video that I did. I called it Shaq and Kobe, with the one with Rick Ross, but it's not Shaq and Kobe. It's just the song Shaq and Kobe was on there, but it's too good to be true. And they released that through Gamma Records. And that one was a solid project. Like, yeah, it sold like 20 something first week, 20 something K first week, but that was great music, top to bottom. It's like, what, 20 tracks, something like that? This was a good amount of tracks. It's 17 tracks. They had Shaq and Kobe on there. That hit. They had Future on there. They had a bunch of different features. Great album. Also, we got to keep in mind, Vori, who is a very, very talented artist, yet one of Ye's writers, one of the people instrumental in Donda, who brought him to the forefront other than Meek Mill. He was signed to Meek Mill, I'm pretty sure. And this guy's dropped his own album that's really good, which if you haven't checked it out, you have to check it out. He kind of faced some sort of cancellation, you could call it, because of some incident, I think, with a girl that he was dating. But Vori dropped an album. This is crazy. You can't even look up the guy without it being replaced with Von Off 1700, which is a Chicago drill rapper. But he dropped this album. Oh, he dropped an album April 1st. I got to listen to that. Eros 2, Love and War. The album that I'm referring to is You Made Me This Way. Great, great, great project. That was dropped in 2025. The guy's got the voice of an angel. But yeah, so he brought this guy to the forefront too. So he doesn't get credit for that. I think Charlamagne's... How out of touch is Charlamagne with music? And this is the thing too. Charlamagne is so busy with a bunch of different things that you're gonna have to fall off of certain things. Like, for example, Charlamagne's, yeah, he's got Breakfast Club right now. He's kind of focused on that with the iHeartMedia deal, but he's also doing a bunch of these other things that aren't really related to music. Like Ebro, I would say, is more tapped into music, and because he works in music, like he's got everything that Ebro touches is music related. He stays in that pocket, as well as Joe Budden. Joe Budden only does the podcast, music. And yeah, the podcast is basically a media company. Like, they've got a bunch of different shows, a ton of stuff in production and Patreon. But nevertheless, he is focused on the music conversation, and he would not have a take like this. So I think this was, I wouldn't call it disappointing, but Meek Mill is right to be upset with this, and we are right to ride out with Meek Mill on this one. Meek Mill had a great comeback that was for sure aided by Drake, but everybody was going around Meek Mill and was supporting him when he got released from jail. That's why, if you guys remember from back then, which is probably like 3 of you guys, when I was making videos, I was like, yo, Meek Mill the jail was the best thing to happen to Meek Mill's career. Not his life, of course. That was a very stressful time, but for his career, it revived it. It made him into a figure that turned from a hater into somebody and a hater that couldn't even beef properly, like didn't even drop good music for the diss tracks, because he did drop good music while the beef was going on, while he was losing that beef separately. But this guy, he had become a sympathetic figure for all of hip hop. And that was the best thing that happened, which allowed his music to be looked at from a different lens. Not a loser's lens, but somebody we want to win's lens. And then championships is the perfect fit for a name like that. Somebody the underdog that you want to win. Well, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Do you agree with Charlamagne? Do you think he has a point here? Musically speaking, strictly music. Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.